This is really a game. If you watched back in January, I had a preview with Tony Altimore, who's going to be on at 8:30 p.m. Eastern tonight with Mark Rogers on our main channel for the Michigan-Ohio State deep dive. But I talked with Tony Altimore about Michigan versus Washington, and it really felt like a strength on strength and weakness on weakness type game. And it's feeling very similar here. And by the way, I am not saying here that Michigan's offense and Texas's defense are weak, because let's face it, these are two teams where all of their units are going to be probably top 30 minimum in the country, maybe higher. So Michigan's offense against Texas's defense, where I think Michigan's offense is returning some people, but also losing quite a bit to the NFL. Texas's defense actually returning 7. So interesting that Texas's defense is returning more than I expected when I looked these up. TJ, from your perspective, when you look at kind of the situation, O-lines were mentioned earlier. When you look at the situation of these two, what do you see? When those two are going to match up, what are some of the things you're looking at?
Yeah, so what I see is a lot of question marks, I think, on both sides of the ball, and I think Matt might agree there. We'll find out if he does or doesn't. And what I mean by question marks is obviously, offensively, we have a question mark at quarterback. We don't, there's no denying that, and that is a question mark for anybody. Anyone who says they know what it's going to be has no idea. That's a question mark. We are returning our run. We got Donovan Edwards. We got that. We got arguably the number one tight end in the nation in Colson Loveland, and we do have offensive weapons at wide receiver in Samaj Morgan and Tyler Morris. And we don't really know. Our exposition is not quite settled yet. There's going to be a camp battle. We're all going to, at least on the Michigan side of things, we're going to be tapped into that. But offensive line, a lot of our guys, although we do have new starters, a lot of them have reps and time on task. A lot of them have been rotated in. Some of them are previous starters, like Miles Hinton. He was a starter at Stanford. Josh Prevey is an all Big Ten offensive guard. He transferred from Northwestern. Greg Crippen has been in the slow cooker for over 3 years, learning behind Drake Nugent, Oluwatimi. And then obviously Giovanni El-Hadi, who's a top 100 recruit, and he's a dog. And we've seen him be 6 offensive linemen in a lot of packages for Michigan. So offensive line, we're expecting to be at a very high level. Again, these guys are they're seasoned. They're ready to play. The question comes down to quarterback. And then when we look at Texas's defense, look, statistically speaking, your pass defense was questionable. And your strength was your run defense. And let's be honest, you lost your 2 top pillars in that run defense in the draft, and Murphy and Sweat. And Sweat. So that's the question mark for me. Like, I'm not saying you guys can't be good in the run again, but what I am saying is, in the pass game, which, mind you, if Alex Orji is our starter, the threat is not going to be his arm. Not that he can't do some damage. It's going to be with his legs. And we all know Michigan's a power run offense. So, but can your rush defense play anywhere near the level it did last year? And I'm not sure. And we also know that Michigan likes to just keep pounding and pounding. So you have some question marks, in my opinion, at the defensive line. And we're going to find out, on Saturday. So I think there's a lot of unknown with this matchup between the two teams.
I agree. I completely agree. The interior, I have no idea about Texas. We have 6 guys there. Well, I take that back. There's one guy I'm sure of. Alfred Collins is at least going to be a good player. There's always that potential for him to make that leap that T'Vondre Sweat sort of did from last year to 2 years ago to last year for Sweat. If he can do that, he can be a great player, because I'm always going to keep saying this story. Chris Ash came in under Tom Herman and was asked who's got that talent like a Bosa and Chase Young, and he didn't stutter. He said Alfred Collins. That dude's a freak, and he's never lived up to that. So he's the one guy that could take that next step. The other guys are good, they're good players. Bill Norton, transfer from Arizona. Tia Sevilla, transfer from Arizona. Dre Bledsoe coming in as a young guy for Texas. I think he's got a chance. Sadir Mitchell is one that we had a lot of promise coming into this season, but then once people realize, he's, no offense, he's not taking it seriously. It's kind of like what T'Vondre Sweat was doing before he got serious. He weighs 370 pounds. He's not in shape at all. If he ever gets in shape, he is a freak. Every defensive line coach wanted him on their team, and he just refuses to get in shape. So Alfred Collins and Vernon Broughton are probably the two guys that I like the most, and will probably play the most at first, I do like Bill Norton from Arizona. He's good. The key factor to me, we just took him from Oklahoma. When Oklahoma got Dominic Williams, we got Jermaine Lole. That guy's a very good player. His issue is health. He's had one healthy season, and when he was healthy, he was damn good at Louisville. When he wasn't, never saw the field. So the interior is definitely a question. I will say, though, the edges, really damn good this year. I'm very confident that you have Trey Moore coming over from UTSA, over 30 and a half tackles for loss the last two seasons, and 22 sacks. Free. He's going to be good.
We the target. We wanted him in the transfer portal. You guys, he's definitely legit. Yeah.
And then Ethan Burke is going to be really good. He was good last year. Yeah, we took him.
You son of a guy. Stole him from us, bro.
He's good too, man. And if you look at mock drafts, people realize the length and athleticism and motor he plays with. He's going to be like a second round pick when he decides to come out. And then Barron Sorrell is also one of those guys too. Like, he's a nice rotational player in the NFL. He's not going to get you 10 sacks, but he's a 4 to 5 sack guy who's good versus the run. So the edges are really good. There's no question for me there. Number one cornerback lockdown, Malik Muhammad is the highest cornerback recruit to step on Texas campus in the last decade and a half. He was good last year. He's going to get better. The second cornerback, Terrence Brooks, left because he wasn't guaranteed a spot playing time wise. So we got Cole. Yeah, we got Cole from San Jose State. He's a good player, but again, that's San Jose State, so I don't know what he's going to do here. Gavin Holmes came over from Wake Forest. What are you going to say, DJ?
So you would say that's like a question mark or a little
bit for sure. Yeah. Second cornerback, I have no – you could tell me that's bad next year, and it wouldn't shock me. But I do think it'll be pretty good just because you have a rotation there. And eventually, if they're just the two guys in front are bad, which would be Holmes and Cole, you'll just go to the 5-star freshman that you got this year in Kobe Black, which his brother was a pretty good cornerback at Oklahoma State. So if he can just be as good as his brother, that'd be good. Safety's another thing. We were worried last year because of athleticism. That has totally changed. You have Derek Williams, who the same thing. Malik Muhammad at cornerback coming in for his sophomore season at safety. He'll take a jump. He's a good player. He was really good last year. Michael Taff is like a ball hawk, but if he's one-on-one with someone, he can get picked on. And then Xavier Filsaime, 5-star freshman. I expect him to – he won't play much of a factor in this game, but if this game was week 7 or 8, it would not shock me if he's the starting safety back there with Derek Williams. So, and Jahdae Barron, I didn't even mention him. He's back. If he's healthy, he's really good. And Andrew Makuba. I like the secondary a lot coming over from Clemson. So the secondary I feel confident in. The edges I feel confident in. Linebacker, we have talent, but it isn't proven. Anthony Hill, you could tell me, is the best linebacker in the country next year, and I believe you. You could tell me he's average next year at middle linebacker, and I believe you. He has so much athleticism. Like, their plays, and someone posted this on Twitter months ago, so I don't know if anyone could find it, but basically he ran himself out of so many plays, and then because he's such a freak athlete, he made up for it. It's insane to watch. So if he can ever like dive deep into the playbook and realize what's happening in front of him, he's going to be a phenomenal player. But there's definitely question marks for sure. This is definitely the side I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned when we get to the offensive side of the ball, but it's going to be an interesting matchup to see what questions get answered on both sides of the ball, honestly.
That's what's so interesting about this matchup is because I would think, John, we would argue offense is our biggest question mark because we're more sure about defense and you're more sure about your offense, which is why so I agree. And I think our next topic, John, is what is it? It's Michigan's defense versus Texas offense. Is that correct? Or are we going to hit
and who would be the impact player if you had to pick just one for each side of this ball here? Who do you think on Michigan's offense is going to make the big splash? Who do you think on Texas's defense?
I'll let CJ hit that one first.
Yeah, well, so Texas, Matt, I'm going to let you cover. But for Michigan's offense, the impact player is going to be Alex Orji. We are going to lose this game or win this game with Alex Orji. And I am assuming he's going to win the job, and I understand that. But I do feel like he will win the job. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I will say, Alex, this game will depend on Alex Orji because we're going to get into the next matchup, and I think we're both going to feel like, it's going to be a clash of the Titans on the next side, or the next topic. But I'll let Matt hit the impact player for Texas on defense.
Yeah, so I already mentioned him. There's another guy I'll throw out there just to get the name. Colin Simmons, freshman. Again, a guy everyone wanted, 5-star guy out of Duncanville. Just a freak. He's going to be a stud next year. But this year, I don't know. We'll see. But Trey Moore, I think Trey Moore's going to have a really good year. It's hard for me to see a guy that had, like I said, 32.5 tackles for loss in 2 years at UTSA and over 22 sacks. If you cut that production like in half, I think he's going to have a really good year, and I think he'll make a big impact. You know, it's funny because Texas has been complaining about pass rushers for a while, and I think we have a really good core of pass rushers. I just wish we had one guy in the middle that I was sure of, because honestly, if like TJ said, if you can just run it down our throat, pass rushers don't matter. They can't get to the quarterback when he's handing off to the running back. So don't know about the interior, but I'm sure about Trey Moore and those guys on the outside.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting chess match, because exactly to that point, like if we're able to run the middle and you guys can't push the pocket up the middle, and plus because we all know, like when you have edge rushers, they can sometimes over pursue, or they might not keep contained. And when you have a quarterback like we do who can make plays with his feet, that's why this matchup is going to be so damn interesting. You know, where you guys are strong is kind of like we have good counters, and you guys have good counters where we're strong. So it's going to be extremely interesting to watch this game unfold.
I'll make one point on behalf of each team. So from the Michigan side, I'm very curious to see what Colston Loveland does to attack some of the weaknesses in Texas's defense, and what Kurt Campbell draws up to be able to do that. You know, like you said, I think Matt, you know, your strength is on the edges. By the way, Michigan in 2021, the defense's strength was on the edges because Mike McDonald had to patch up some holes from the Don Brown scheme and the Don Brown defense, and Aiden Hutchinson and Ojabo were able to make up for some weaknesses that people didn't really notice because they did so well. So it's actually possible, Matt, on the Texas side, for those guys that you mentioned, and specifically Trey Moore. Oh my God, like he could really be an issue for a new. I know that Alex Orji's been around, but he could be an issue for Alex Orji and an O-line that's almost entirely going to be new starters, with the exception of Miles Hinton, kind of, and at Northwestern was a starter for a lot of football games, but it's still going to be quite a patchwork for at game 2. There could be some holes in both of those, and I'm very curious to see what Colston Loveland, 6'5", what they're going to draw up for him, in the receiving game.
It's going to be interesting because if he's matched up on Anthony Hill, I think that's an even matchup. Anyone else, I mean, if he gets matched up on one of our safeties, I don't love most of our safeties in coverage. The only guy I kind of trust in that is Andrew Makuba. But again, I don't know where he's going to exactly play on this defense. I know they want to be versatile and kind of switch up positions. So that will be interesting. But yeah, Colston Loveland's a beast. When TJ, you said he might be the best tight end in America, just say he's the best tight end in America, in my opinion. So it's going to be a good matchup.
Yeah, but it just depends. Is our quarterback going to be able to get him the ball consistently? That's the question. I'm trying to remain mindful, because I don't know. I have no idea. I think I have an idea, but I can't say for sure. Listen, Orji might not even be week 1 starter. It's possible. I think he will. And if I had to put money on it right now and you asked me to bet on it, I would say Alex Orji. But you never know in fall camp, another quarterback could, because it will be a battle. They're going to compete. We have 3 quarterbacks competing for that position right now. And Orji does need to make sure he's consistent with his throwing. He has everything else. He even has some experience, but we'll find out. I mean, that's really going to be the tail of the tape right there.
So I will say this. So what would your confidence level be if I told you going into week 1 and you're playing the game that they're just rotating quarterbacks and Texas is the next week? What is your confidence level then?
So we talk about that on the show. Yeah, we talk about that on the show. We do not have our quarterback situation figured out by week 1, although we've also talked about it's possible they go with one quarterback first half, another quarterback the second half, because we feel like we're going to beat Fresno State.
Fresno,
yeah, and we do feel like we'll beat them, even though they're
a solid team, yeah,
they're not nobody. I mean, they're a group of 5 team, but listen, if that is the case, then concerns we're going to be nervous that week, unless Orji shows out and it's all right, then we're going to be feeling a little confident, but it's definitely something. There's not a Michigan fan who could tell you that we're feeling extremely confident at the quarterback position right now because nobody knows the answer to that right now.
Well, and I will say this game does remind me of Bama a little bit just because of the nature of that and Jalen Milroe. But I will say, like, Tommy Rees called that game terribly, and he called Jalen Milroe's season terribly in general because he didn't run him enough. You guys aren't going to do that. You guys, if Alec Orji needs to run 30 times that game, I bet they'll say, guess what, dude? You're going to run 30 times. They were not going to do that to Jalen Milroe last year.
Yeah, we know for a fact Sharon is not afraid to run the ball 30 straight times. We have literally seen that in practice against Penn State. They don't care. They will do whatever. That's one thing, I think we're very optimistic about with Sharon Morris. He's willing to adapt the game plan to win the game. He is not so far. So our sample size is only so big, but so far he's willing to evolve. Because some coaches are very late to evolve their approaches in games. So far it's been good. We'll see how it goes the whole season. Obviously, that's one sample size, but yeah, I mean, we're gonna find out. Man. I mean, I would say though they're not going to just run Alex Orji, Donovan Edwards, Khalil Mullins. I mean, we're kind of. I'll be real. We're pretty stacked at running back right now. It's probably our most loaded room, and that's saying a lot because we had a room with Zach Charbonnet, who got drafted to the NFL, went to UCLA, killed it. Blake Corum and who's the other running back? I'm forgetting, John.
You said Blake Corum. So Khalil Mullins, Donovan Edwards.
No. It was Zach Charbonnet. That was the 2020 season. Oh, Chris Evans.
2020 season.
Yeah, Chris Evans. It was a very
Hassan Haskins.
Yeah, and Hassan Haskins. Oh, that's 4 NFL caliber running backs in the room. And this one, in our running back room right now, is potentially as deep, so we'll see where it goes.